everybody, and welcome to another hair-raising, fun-filled, expeditious episode of Radiorama, where, as the name implies, I show you how to work on radios. And my camera is greasy. Alright, see if that's better. What we have here is a Grundig Majestic model 1097-U. It's just a Grundig. Majestic was an American company that would make radios in the US, but they'd also import radios from other countries and put their name on it. I don't know if this works or not, and since it does have a power transformer that is not as easy to replace, I'm going to bring it up slowly on my Variac and look at the amount of power that it's drawing, starting at the lowest setting. Wow. I'm only at 20 volts and I hear a buzz. Okay, I'm not going to bring it up anymore. Something is shorted in there. My guess is probably the filter capacitors are shorted. So we'll remove the back and see if we see anything. Sometimes what will happen is that the vent will have crap oozing out of the top of it, and that's a good indicator that your electrolytic can has gone south. All right, I'll move the back here, and it's kind of interesting. First thing I notice is that that's not the original speaker. Someone has replaced the original speaker with a car speaker. You can see here, there's these extra nuts and bolts. I've worked on this model or models like it before, and probably what happened is that the surround on the original speaker gave out, and it's a weird size of speaker. You can't just, like, I don't know, go to the part store and get. This is a single-ended output as far as audio. It's probably, what is this? It looks like a, it's not marked, but it's probably a 6BQ5. That tube looks roasted. Like it's got, which looks like severe burning. That doesn't mean it's bad. But if that thing's hosed, that could definitely, if it's shorted hard, that could explain why it was making that noise. But I'm gonna have to recap it anyway. I can just see by looking. It's got these brown, those are paper caps. I call them deer turd capacitors for no good reason. And we've got one capacitor on the output transformer that is, looks like it's split in half. That's shorted. So I'm going to test it too, but I think I'm going to have to replace some capacitors before I think about powering this up again. I don't want to cause any more damage. Alright, I did manage to pull the chassis out. So the first thing I'm going to do is lift it up, put it on its back, or put it so I can see the underside. Make sure I'm not damaging anything here. Okay, good. It's not resting on that ferrite rod. Those are very brittle. And we have these two 50 microfarad capacitors in this one can. I'm going to test those. I noticed this right here. This capacitor is completely fried. It's all melted out like that. That's a shorted capacitor. But I'm going to get my little multi-tool out here, and I'm just going to see what that electrolytic says. That's a pretty unhappy capacitor. Reads as a diode, which is definitely not the case unless it's measuring the diode here. Let me switch the leads around. I mean, it is in circuit, so it could be measuring part of the rectifier there. Alright, let's see. Testing. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but that's not good. Let me measure the other one. It's not measuring anything remotely close to being a capacitor. Let's test this one again. Test this other one. Capacitor. Whew, it's bad. Voltage loss almost 20%. 17.0 nanofarads. This thing is toasted. That's bad. So no wonder it was making that humming noise. That cap is also busted open, and there's one on the top that needs to be replaced. So I'm going to do the bare minimum, and then we'll bring it up again and see if there's any improvement. All right, I replaced both the electrolytics, and I just put them right here. They'll fit there just perfect. I took this guy out, and as bad as it does look, it actually tested as good, but I replaced it anyway. I'm going to replace all these paper caps. They cannot be counted on to be reliable. I'm going to replace the capacitor up top that I saw that looked like it was busted open. I'm going to test it too, because I'm curious if it is genuinely bad or if it just looks bad. Okay, so now that I've got all the vitals replaced, let's go ahead and bring it up again on the Variac. Okay, that's a good sign. I'm not hearing that hum. I think my pilot light's probably dead. So I'll make sure it's on. Let me bring it up to 50%. Is it drawing anything? Yes, it's drawing stuff. There we go. Alright, it's still not making noise. It's drawing that much. Go ahead and bring it up the rest of the way. Let's hear a gentle hum. It's on FM.
He used to be, well, you know, that's just a criticism for being ageist.
Okay, AM works. FM might not be working because I don't have the antenna connected. I'm also only at 100 volts. Let me turn it off. Let's see about connecting an antenna to this thing.
Academy of Sciences.
The skull is connected to 19. Next, bones counterbalance back. Alert Plus.
More. BoostInfinite.com. Why is iHeartRadio the #1 streaming radio app? Free music.
3 live radio stations from all over.
Wireless. Available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited.
You know I'll keep holding on.
Warehouse Club.
But
It was then.
Okay, so we're doing okay now. We've got a radio full of old leaky paper capacitors. FM sounds a little wonky. It could be because either this tube is weak or, again, leaky paper capacitors, and FM is rather sensitive. And also probably all the contacts here need to be cleaned. So I have pretty good confidence that I'm going to be able to get this guy up and running to a pretty decent degree fairly easily. Well, now here comes the fun part. This thing is loaded up with old paper capacitors. These guys, even though they look like brown drops, they're not. They're paper caps. They're very leaky. So if we count all the caps that need to be replaced, we need to replace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I was wrong. I missed one here. 16. Quite a few. And there's probably 1 or 2 up top for the tone controls, even though I think I might have replaced that already. Yeah, these guys are super leaky. They will affect your performance, absolutely, so they should all be replaced. Welcome back to day number 2 of working on the Grundig, and I got off of work and I went ahead and recapped the rest of the radio. I need to make sure and give this chassis a shake before I power it up. There's little bits of clippings here and there. Some of these were really buried in there. I know this doesn't look like much, but there were layers of capacitors, and I had to kind of plan how to replace them. These small value electrolytics, I thought maybe they would be good, but I tested them. They were all bad. In fact, all those caps were not good. They were all bad, unsurprisingly. Before I decide to test it, I'm going to clean the volume control and also all these piano key switches, as well as the tone controls, because that's going to give us our maximum audio performance. Okay, let's do a test fire. I did replace the pilot light, by the way. The old one was burnt out. Hopefully we'll get some better audio quality out of this. Okay, we're good. We got the tweeter working. Very sensitive radio. This is like 10,000 times better than it sounded before. Very sensitive, very good tonal quality. That's just a car speaker. It looks like it came out of a Ford.
6460 800 343 6460.
Try AM.
He looks a little cold.
I didn't see.
Passed my desk earlier than today.
Wow. Color me surprised. It went from sounding like total crap to pretty good. There's a few other things I want to do up here. I want to clean this up a little. And then I want to oil all of the pivot joints here and pulleys, even though it seems like it's turning very easily. So maybe someone was in here before me. Usually that stuff gets all gunked up. Well, now that I got the radio working, I have to remember that the sun goes down sooner this time of year because of the stupid rule we have here in the United States, which is daylight savings time to save the poor farmers back when farmers didn't have modern computerized equipment. Anyway, that gives me less time to work on the cosmetics, and I want to do it out here in the warm sun so the wax will dry quicker. This is Bakelite. It's very key and imperative. Do not use caustic or abrasive cleaners on these guys. In fact, I do not get them wet if I can help it. The Bakelite's actually in pretty good shape on this one. It doesn't really need a cleaning. But just in case, I use a Carnauba cleaner wax from Meguiar's. Stuff's been around for 100 years. It smells nice. It smells like bananas. And I'm going to apply it with this guy. Take my time and go over the whole cabinet several times, being careful not to get any of it on the nice grill cloth, because that would be unfortunate and I wouldn't be able to get it out. It's also tricky getting around the Grundig Majestic stuff. I usually find using an old toothbrush to clean that up is the best thing to do. Either that or a soft like shoe brush or something. You don't want to use anything that's going to scratch. You got to be gentle with these guys. Okay, so I was able to do a couple of initial passes with the polish. Or do a little more detailed work. This is coming up next. Anyway, I also did some detailed clean work on the front of this. Used plastic polish on this because this is actually plexiglass or something there like it. And I cleaned the knobs, cleaned all these piano keys. Just every little bit you can do to make it look perfect is going to make the overall impression so much better. Now I'm going to do the stuff you can't see, which is clean up the tube sockets and get some of the dust off, clean the metal a little bit, just make it look a little bit neater. I was able to clean it a little bit. There's some sort of grease all over it and it doesn't come off very easily, but at least I got the surfaces clean. Next, what I'm going to do is oil all of the pulleys and areas that move for the tuning system. I'm using Zoom spout oil, which is much nicer than like 3-in-1 oil or whatever. I think someone's been in here. It looks like there's freshish, it's not really a word, fresh, newer looking oil deposited, but I'm going to touch it up anyway. So I'm in here anyway, and this is synthetic, so it'll stay good forever. There we go. Of course, it's rubbing up against that thing. Let's see. Oh yeah. Look how long it continues to spin after I let it go. Smooth as molasses. I guess molasses isn't very smooth. It's actually kind of sticky, so it's not a good comparison. There we go. All right, so the next one I want to do is add audio input to this set's already existent audio input system for tape and record player. All right, so I added the audio input going directly to the original connector. And what I'm doing is I'm running my right and left channels through a pair of 33 ohm resistors. That combines right and left channels so it turns into mono, and then the other side goes to the ground. There were two possible pin connections for this, and the pins are not labeled. I'm too lazy to look up online what that configuration is, but I made a good guess as far as what is playback. But if it's not, I'll just switch this over to the other one. But in the meantime, I need to hook it up to the radio and see if when I connect to the tape player output / record player output or input that it plays music. Alright, it does work. We have the Bluetooth running through, and I have it on the pickup selector. So that's the last thing I needed to do. I want to wipe out the interior here. That dust just kind of bothers me, and I want to do a little more detailing on the Bakelite case, but it's almost done. So I'll probably be able to put this back together tonight and call it wraps. This one actually went a lot easier than I thought, because sometimes these German radios present interesting problems, to say the least. Alright, this one turned out pretty good. Even though it's got a car speaker in it, it actually does have kind of nice fidelity. Usually what I'd let these things do is run for hours and hours just to make sure that anything that's going to thermally break down will happen in my presence. If it's going to happen after something's not been in use for a long time, it'll probably happen within the first few hours. But it seems to be working pretty well. Check out the radio here.
Families coming in from all over.
Back to north and south.
Anyway, interesting set. Usually these things are made out of wood. You don't run across many Bakelite versions of this, but it'll do. Anyway, as usual, thanks so much for watching this episode of Radiorama. And until the next time something comes across my workbench, I'll see you guys next time. Adios.